So, what do you think?
It's interesting. It's a tale of two halves.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, because nothing's attributed, it's difficult to see whether the same people felt the same ways, but some of it's slightly internally contradictory. So,
I agree.
So it would be a question of just picking and unpicking that. I would guess that the bits that say that actually it's that are more around the mentoring and loyalty, etc., are from the people who actually work for me. And comments about not mentoring and not doing anything are from the people who don't.
So it's very difficult, isn't it? Because you're exposing really quite rightly one of the limitations of the method, which is that the sample is selected by you.
Well, it wasn't selected by me.
No.
It was imposed on me, but that's...
Was it?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I mean, I knew that the Ian...
No, most of them were... I was told I had...
I didn't know that. Okay, that's interesting for me to know. Okay. You were told by Wendy Walton? Or?
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay. So...
I mean, Ian, my comments, as I said to you before, is that I don't get on with him. I'm not his kind of person. I don't feel that he supports his team. He has ample opportunity to give feedback and never does. He will give feedback behind your back, but not to your face. And so, therefore, that was one reason why I found out. I thought, well, actually, he wasn't somebody I particularly wanted to have a view from. But that was certainly something Wendy felt very strongly about. So
yeah, I suppose in terms of if we're to take a scientific approach, he is one of the people that works most closely with you and has that senior relationship with you.
He does and he doesn't, but yeah.
Okay. Well,
but
anyway,
we are what it is.
We are where we are.
Yeah, no, I mean it is. But they are a cross section of people within the firm, so
exactly.
we take their comments.
Yes, exactly. We have to sort of take them at face value and not kind of try and, in a way, try and...
There's no point undermining it.
No.
It is what it is.
Yeah. And I think what's sometimes slightly deceptive about the report, so if I was to put all the comments people made in the report, thank you, it would actually be probably 50 pages or more long. And actually when I write it, that's how I write it. So what I do is I put all of the comments that pertain to that particular topic. And then what I do is I then thin it down and use the best examples. So what you can be fairly confident about is that anything that...
I'm just going to take the lid off this because it's scaldingly hot.
Do you want milk or you?
No, I don't take milk.
Okay. The things that are reported are things that several people said. Now, I can't get into saying whether it was 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. But the things that are reported are things that at least a majority of people said. So there were a number of things that only 1 or 2 people said, and all of those were stripped out of the report. Okay, partly because in some senses they identified themselves by making a comment that no one else had made.
That's fine. I'm not going to go and have a go at anybody because they've made comments in the report. That's not my...
No. I suppose the important thing today is thinking about how you're going to use it. You know, what interesting information has it provided with you about how you come across that you perhaps didn't know, or if you did know, perhaps you didn't sort of...
I think it's the fact that it's the fact that people find it very difficult to correspond. I am very factual in that, and it's I don't have the time for the nicest, and actually I don't know the people very well that I'm dealing with.
And would that be true even if someone were to say, God, it's really important, the niceties are really important?
Well, I would try, but actually that would be such a fundamental... obviously, if I know the person well, then there will be niceties in there, but I also tend to reflect what's been said to me. So if somebody puts to me, how are you, etc., then they'll get a response back, and I'll ask about them. But actually, often it's a this is what's happened, and you're trying to work through all of this.
But of course, everyone's in the same boat in that position, in the sense that all senior people are going to get large volumes of emails.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that what comes to me is just the factual stuff. That's the response they're going to get.
I felt it was a bit more than that, actually.
Yeah,
when I did the
but I mean, and if it's just, but I accept that. No, I don't tend to go and sort of start off my emails with, I haven't spoken to you for ages. It will be actually, we need to get this done.
And is that something that you'd be interested in trying to change or modify?
I don't know.
If it were clear that it made a big difference to people?
If it made a big difference to the people who that I directly work with, then yes, of course, for them I would. And actually, for the ones in Liverpool who tend to be much more like that, they need their, they need the nurturing more.
Yes.
I do try to remember most times.
Yes. Okay.
So it's a question of remembering.
So difficult to know whether it's something you could modify. Potentially it is, but maybe it isn't.
I mean, it's certainly something I'll be more alert to.
I mean, to a certain extent, that's one of the easiest things in the report, because you can just parrot or ape what someone else does, who does that kind of slightly more fluffy, soft. I mean, I think one person said something about she needs to soften her style. I think that was...
Well, I'm really interested in that comment, because would they say that about a man?
But you see, I suppose in a way, is that relevant?
Yes, it is relevant, actually, because I find otherwise. I mean, I am a woman, therefore I should be soft and fluffy? Really?
No, I don't. I really didn't get that, actually.
No. Well, that's
I
good.
really didn't get
that's
that at all.
I'm challenging from what
So
you said to me there.
Yeah, I absolutely didn't get that. I didn't get that feeling at all. In fact, I found there was... The only gender issue that came in, which I reflected in the report, was a number of people said that you had of course told them that one of your feelings is that some of the things that are raised as issues wouldn't be an issue if you were a man. So I've reflected that in the kind of intro to some of the positive, the kind of the areas of high functioning. I think I reflected it there. So yes, people did repeat that to me, that you had told them that. And some of them had considerable sympathy for that position. Not all of them, but some of them did. But I think when it came on to the email style question, if you remember in the questionnaire, there was a specific question about it.
No, I'm just challenging you because of what you said back to me.
Yeah,
because,
Well, as in, does it matter that if it's because... Yeah, that probably wasn't a very helpful comment, actually, because my mind then went straight to the interviews, and I thought to myself, actually, there was no hint that it was something that you should do. But also, to a certain extent...
it depends on the email, I suppose. And it depends on... there will be, there will be occasions when, yes, of course, I can modify it. There will be other occasions where actually it's just going to be, yes, no, we need to do this, whatever.
But obviously, the report's there for you to do whatever you wish with it.
No, I'm not trying to be negative about it.
No, I'm just saying.
I'm just trying to be realistic.
But what I mean is, you're the custodian of what happens next. Yeah. I'm not going to be influencing that. It's your decision. So if you say to me, look, half the emails I send have got to go out like that. That's just the way they are.
I don't know whether they do or not. It's just the way that I've been trained to write, which is pared down to the point, get across. Because
and what effect on other people did you perceive the report showed us?
That it seems to intimidate them, as opposed to just you've asked me a question and this is the answer.
And so, what do you make of that?
I don't quite know what to make of it, because there's no undertone at all. It is literally just, you've asked me a question, here's the answer.
So what's your understanding of why some people might experience that as intimidating?
Well, I would expect, my taking on that, and it could be completely wrong, is that actually, although they've asked it in the form of a question, what they were actually wanting was something more comforting to them as opposed to an answer.
Yeah, so I think a couple of people did mention that, and I put one of the quotes in your report which reflected that people like an opportunity to wallow and have a bit of a moan.
Yes, when they get, yes.
and that's sort of a
And
human.
you know what? In a way, yes, I absolutely get that, but there are only so many moaning emails in a day I can cope with.